recognize that we're on Treaty 3 lands and are thankful for the partnerships with our First Nations communities. We give thanks for the many blessings we enjoy in the city of Kenora. We seek wisdom in our minds, clearness in our thinking, truth in our speaking, and always love in our hearts, so that we may always try to unite the citizens of Kenora. Let these principles guide us in our decision making.
Thank you. Okay, public information notices. As required by bylaw 144/2007, the public is advised of council's intention to adopt the following today's meeting. Council intends to amend the tariff fees and charges bylaw to increase water and wastewater rates by 8%. Declaration of pecuniary interest, anyone today? Councilor McMillan, obviously.
I do. Where do I have it? It's resolution, I have a pecuniary interest in resolution number 5. It has to do with financial statements, references made to police services, and my spouse is a member of the police services board.
Yes. Okay, resolution number 1.
Your worship, moved by myself, second by Councillor Roosin, that the following minutes of the Council of the City of Kenora be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting held October 18th, 2016. Thank you.
All in favor, council? Opposed, abstained? Carried. Okay, deputations. One deputation. Mr. Midgard.
Yes.
You're up. We don't want to lose, or you haven't wasted much of your lunch hour.
Okay.
You can use the podium if you want, Marty.
I'm assuming you got a copy of what I've written?
They don't have a copy yet.
Do I have to read it?
As
Or?
long as the clerk has your.
Yeah, you have to read it.
I wanted to wing it.
Okay, you can wing it.
That's okay.
As long as we have the real words. This is all recorded, so we're gonna get your
Yeah.
winging plus the real word.
We wing it all
Can
the
I wing
time.
off of this after?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
It's in reason, right? Okay. Mayor Canfield, members of the council, have come to this meeting today to request a reduction in the speed limit on James Road from the existing 60 kilometers an hour to 50 kilometers an hour. And as we know, all people exceed the limit by at least 10 kilometers or more. Traffic on the James Road has increased considerably over the last decade and at least triples during the summer months, day and night. There are a lot of seasonal and non-seasonal residents that walk along the road through the entire year. Some walk with their dogs, some with their grandchildren, some have little ones in strollers. And with the road being as narrow as it is, some people don't even slow down. They swerve to the other side and hope that no one is coming from the opposite direction. As you know, there's no sidewalks on the James Road, as it is a country road, so pedestrians must walk along the roadway. Our house is within close proximity to the roadway, and because it is adjacent to a hill, there have been numerous near collisions, especially in the winter time. I would also like to request that the community safety zone be established from the hill before the blue road sign 503, which is Lloyd Entrance, and there's a hill that exists on this property as well, because they come over that hill fairly fast, to the start of the subdivision in the built-up area. A lot of houses are built close to the road in this area. And I've noticed that there are a lot of country roads within the city limits that have had their speed limits reduced over the years. And I would appreciate receiving a favorable response to the request at the earliest convenience.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 2.
Resolution number 2, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rosen, that council hereby accept the resignations of James Williams from the Kenora Urban Trails Committee effective immediately. And further, that council hereby appoints Logan Wright to the Kenora Urban Trails Committee for a term at the pleasure of council.
All in favor, council? Opposed, abstained? Motion is carried. Yes, you may be excused.
Yep.
Thanks, Marty. Thank you. Resolution number 3.
Worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McMillan. Council of the City of Kenora hereby accepts the 2016 third quarter investment report that include details of the Kenora Citizens Prosperity Trust Fund and other City of Kenora investments.
All in favor, council? Opposed, abstained? Motion is carried. Oh, you have a question?
No, I just want to make a comment.
Oh, okay.
After the prior committee of the whole meeting, Charlotte has now provided us with a very in-depth report, and it's very informative, and it's exactly what we're looking for, so that's, thank you for, all right. And we look forward to seeing you on a quarterly basis.
Okay, resolution number 4.
Your worship, moved by myself, second by Councillor Goss. Whereas recent polling conducted on behalf of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario indicates 76% of Ontarians are concerned or somewhat concerned property taxes will not cover the cost of infrastructure while maintaining municipal services. And 90% agree maintaining safe infrastructure is an important priority for their communities. And whereas infrastructure and transit are identified by Ontarians as the biggest problems facing their municipal government, and whereas a 10-year projection 2016 through 2025 of municipal expenditures against inflationary property tax and user fee increases shows there to be an unfunded average annual need of $3.6 billion to fix local infrastructure and provide for municipal operating needs. And whereas the $3.6 billion average annual need would equate to annual increases of 4.6%, including inflation, to province-wide property tax revenues for the next 10 years. And whereas this gap calculation also presumes all existing and multi-year planned federal and provincial transfers to municipal governments are fulfilled. And whereas if future federal and provincial transfers are unfulfilled beyond 2015 levels, it will require annual province-wide property tax revenue increases of up to 8.35% for 10 years. And whereas Ontarians already pay the highest property taxes in the country, and whereas each municipal government in Ontario faces unique issues, fiscal health and needs are a challenge which unites all municipal governments regardless of size. Now therefore be it resolved that Council of the City of Kenora supports the Association of Municipalities of Ontario in its work to close the fiscal gap so that all municipalities can benefit from predictable and sustainable revenue to finance the pressing infrastructure and municipal service needs faced by all municipal governments.
And just to council bring up speed on this a little bit more to the What's Next Ontario, and I think most of you were in that webinar or whatever they had at the time. This has been going on now for about a year. We have what we call committee of the whole meeting at our annual board meeting next week. And for the Thursday evening after our executive meeting, where we're going to be talking more about this. So this is sort of twofold. Part of this is obviously the funding from the federal and provincial governments that has been secured, and the announcements that have been made, and more announcements that are coming on like the water, wastewater, transit, all things we're going through, and then the next line, and then the OSIP funding, which was announced by, of course, Minister Morrow when he was here. Was it last week? Yeah, last week. And plus the other funding, and where we're going to get revenues be is every municipality is in the same boat, and we talk about this at budget time every year. Is we can't our business can't afford tax increases, you know, like even double the cost of living every time. It's just not sustainable. And it's how do we get the revenue? And so that's what the sort of the questions were. And Monica did that presentation at NOAA. It was done at AMO on What's Next Ontario. So it's the other tools that we're looking at, and there will be a report coming out sometime early next year on the options, and that'll be because of feedback from municipalities across the province on what other tools other than municipal taxation that we might look at as municipalities, you know, including the provincial and federal governments to find that money to rebuild their infrastructure. That's kind of sort of long and short, the really digest version of English living, which a lot of you you've been part of already, so.
Yeah, I guess my one caution would be that we're looking for new, more different tools for revenue generation. But we have to be cautious about that also, because our revenue generation in our community is just another tax. So I think that we need to be cognizant of that when we move forward with this.
And that's the discussion we've been having all along. We know that the municipal property taxes it's not sustainable to get all the funding from there, so it's, where do you get it from? Land transfer tax, right? If you go to the City of Toronto Act, they have the ability to tax a lot of things, including, I think, your licenses, your, all kinds of other things that they can get revenue from, and yet they haven't implemented law. The land transfer tax, if you remember when that was going through, I think it was last year, and the Real Estate Association jumped on board and tried to shut it down. Winnipeg's now looking at a, what is it, about a
Development.
$1,000 fee, development charges basically on new buildings, which is, would be devastating, but at the same time, we can't continue the way we are, and we just can't afford the infrastructure anymore. So, it's, where do you get it? And that's where the balance is gonna be. Exactly what you're gonna say, and you're right, it's a tax no matter how you cut it, and it's where do we get it? Do we get it through a consumption tax? Do we get it through implementing land transfer taxes, on sales, where do we get it? And all the ideas have been tossed around, and all them ideas and them open houses where, they're getting the feedback from all the municipalities, and hopefully we can come up with something that won't be palatable to everybody, but it'll probably be the most palatable rate of funding.
And I think again that in Ontario, we are unique in that property taxpayers are paying social costs. And I think that that's something that we need to be looking at, that should be borne by income taxpayers and not property taxpayers. So that disadvantages us in so many ways, that discussion should be on the table also, in my mind.
Oh, it is, that discussion is on the table constantly,
Thank you.
ever since them things were downloaded.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Wilson?
The other thing that I think I don't like going out there and looking for new ways to end up with new taxes. I personally believe that there's enough money that is floating around out there that hasn't been earmarked for proper services, and a lot of it is frivolous spending. One of the areas that I think we should be pursuing strongly, and that was supported when we met with the Minister Shirelli, and we were talking about connecting links. And he was surprised about what our situation is in terms of connecting links. So if you go back and read the concept of connecting links, you will find that I think we've left some money sitting on the table in Queen's Park for too long, that we better visit that, because that is a source of funding that should be allocated to us, and I don't think we've been pursuing that strong enough.
Well, we have been pursuing it, it's the,
We couldn't have been pursuing it very long, because he was surprised that how we were being treated in terms of connecting.
we were pursuing it ever since it left, especially for the Trans-Canada Highway. And as I said, I blame that on Ed York out of Thunder Bay, it's a gift, but we'll continue pushing that one, and even with connected link, remember there's only what, 20 or 30 million to express the whole province. So it's a drop in the bucket when you take a look at the expenses right across. So, but it's something we'll continue to pursue, absolutely. Okay, so close the gap. I think we're all in favor, council? Close the committee? Motion carried. And the other thing is, we have the highest property taxes in Canada, and that's not sustainable either for our home, it's just not. Resolution number 5.
Resolution number 5, your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Renard, that council hereby accepts the monthly financial statements of the corporation of the city of Kenora at September 30th, 2016.
All in favor, council? Opposed, motion carried. Resolution number 6.
Resolution number 6, your worship, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Goss, that as recommended by BMA Management Consulting Incorporated in the Water and Wastewater Long Range Financial Plan forecast approved by council resolution on November 17th, 2015, the 2017 water and sewer rates be increased by 8% over the 2016 rates, and further that in accordance with notice bylaw number 144, 2007, public notice is hereby given that council intends to amend the tariff of fees and charges bylaw to increase water and sewer rates by 8% at its November 15th, 2016 meeting, and further that council gives 3 readings to a bylaw for this purpose, And further, that these rates shall take effect and come into force on January 1st, 2017. And just a comment, we know that that's part of a 5-year financial strategy for sewer and water and wastewater services. And by legislation, it is a user-pay system. And to keep our system in good shape, we have no choice but to do that. And if anybody thinks that cities can lose their water systems, all they have to do is Google up Flint, Michigan, and they'll see what can happen when you don't invest in your water and wastewater systems. So I think it's a good move.
Councilor Rainey?
Like we mentioned at the last committee of the whole meeting, I think we realize it's a user pay system. So I think the onus is on us as a council the only way to then is to bring more users onto the system and to access government funding when it's available. And we saw that where we were eligible for a huge portion, which will assist. But so I think in the future, anytime we're looking at development, whether it's with our neighboring communities or whether it's Councillor Wilson made mention in the prior discussion, we need to infill where we already have that existing infrastructure so we can bring more users on the system, and only then we can disperse the cost. So I think in our next budget and even as we go forward, that needs to become a priority, is how do we bring more users onto the system and spread the costs so that we can, in future, maybe even lower those rates a bit. Thank you.
Yeah, and I apologize, I wasn't at the committee whole meeting, I was out of town on business, and my only concern was that you were in South Kuwait while I was gone, so I'm still intact, so.
You need us for the water
Actually,
and wastewater system.
We looked at,
Jada?
we looked at adjusting that chair.
Yeah. You sold that. So, I probably would have argued for 5%, I'm not going to leave things as they are. I think next year now we start to drop down, we're off that. I think this is the last year of phasing.
I think 8%
No,
again
no,
next
next
year.
year is-
One more.
One
and then
more.
it's five.
So we'll take a look at that. Councilor Rainey, you're exactly right, it's getting more people on the system, and there's some things we talked about before. Hopefully, some of the things that are projected to go ahead this summer will help. I did ask, I got some reports on our numbers, because our numbers are dropping dramatically. There's no point in just keep up and feed, just keep dropping, not getting any more money. But they haven't been, so that's why I'm not gonna put the argument forward, so. But it is something to do, right? The infilling, get more people on the system, and we do have a lot of money, next year to put forward the system, with funding is coming, so. Councilor,
We've been monitoring the problem about getting more people on using our sewer and water system, and the expansion to the eye level plant provided services along Airport Road. And over the 6 years, this has been brought up a few times, and I don't know how many people are still left that could hook up onto there, but we keep increasing the cost of connecting, and it might get to the point where we'll never get anybody to hook up to it, so we should be looking at some sort of a plan to get more people connected to the system. There's not much sense in monitoring the problem if we're not gonna find a solution to it. Secondly, when you get to the situation that we've been faced over the last 3 or 4 years, where we've been doing a lot of sewer and water maintenance and repair work, and that involves excavating and various other things and the cost. But I think it's about time that we start looking at cost analysis of what is costing us to maintain these old systems or infrastructure, and maybe look at borrowing. We can still borrow, because there's funding available, I believe, through LASK. We can still borrow the money and look at, say, okay, maybe it's time we start doing some large sections of repair work and compare that to what it's costing us to maintain it. We might be further ahead. You can identify that by looking at our sewer and water reports that we're getting, and there's certain parts of town that are we're constantly having to go in and repair dilapidated systems. And again, in my mind, that's monitoring the system and not doing anything to reduce our costs. And I think if we looked at that in a proactive manner, that we would be reducing our costs, and maybe we wouldn't have have to have this compounding increase every year.
Councillor Kenora?
Just a short comment in support of what councillors have already stated. We don't have to look very far, and oftentimes municipalities compare themselves to other municipalities, large or small. But you read the papers, and councillors here have shared articles from different papers speaking to the difficulties municipalities are having with their infrastructure and the struggle they're facing in raising their rates on a consistent basis. You look at Winnipeg on one side, and just recently reading articles in the Toronto paper, some of the struggles they're going through with their infrastructure and battling the need for cost increases. And just reiterate what my colleagues have said, we've adopted a plan, and it's important to continue to pursue that plan, continue to move forward. We've done this with the public, we've shared this with the public, and I know there's a lot of anxiety out there, but I think we have to be consistent in our approach and continue to proceed, so thank you.
Yeah, on our positive side, we're a long way ahead of most municipalities. All in favor, council? Opposed, same, motion's carried. Resolution number 7.
Before we start, can I make one comment?
Sure.
Well, you know, I'm not a great supporter of comparing my municipality with other municipalities. I only know the issues facing this municipality. I don't know how these other municipalities are managed, operated efficiently. I don't know what their policies are. I don't know what their financial situation is, and for the reasons why they may or may not have a better system than we do. But I prefer to concentrate on our situation here and make proactive decisions based on what we can do here, as opposed to trying to constantly comparing ourselves to other municipalities. I think that's hindsight, and I don't want to be a follower, I want to be a leader.
You still have to have a benchmark, or a good benchmark. Councillor Brown?
Just a bit of a comment, I think if Councillor Rusin had heard what I said, was that we often look at other municipalities. I didn't refer to comparing, that municipalities across this country are facing similar issues. And we're focusing on ours based on our plan, so thank you.
Okay, resolution number 7.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Goss, that council hereby reappoints James Blight to the Board of Management for the District of Kenora Home for the Aged for a term at the pleasure of council.
All in favor, council? Opposed, same. Motion's carried. Resolution number 8.
Resolution number 8, moved by myself, second by Councillor Goss, that council authorize the CEO to amend the funding agreement with the Ministry of Northern Development and Mines to reflect a project end date from December 15, 2016 to March 15, 2017. And further, that the appropriate bylaw be passed for this purpose.
All in favor, council? Opposed, any? Motion's carried. Resolution number 9.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McMillan, the council hereby adopts the following minutes from various City of Kenora committees. June the 22nd, Kenora Public Library Board, and the council hereby receives the following minutes from other various committees. June 22nd and September 30th, Northwestern Health Unit Board of Health. August 30th, District of the Home for the Aged Board of Management. September 8th, Kenora District Service Board, and further that these minutes be circulated in order to file.
All in favor, council? Opposed, any? Motion's carried. Resolution number 10.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smith. The council of the City of Kenora hereby accepts the September 2016 Kenora's Water and Wastewater Systems Monthly Summary Report as prepared by City Administration. And I'd like to note that the report contains a lot of very valuable and a lot of good information. I think prior to next year, before we actually decide on approving the rates, that at that time it might be a good idea to go have the report presented to us by the operations department, and that would give us a better insight into, as Councillor Rusin indicated, areas of concern throughout the city, where our successes are, and what directions we're going. So I'd like to suggest that for next year, please.
Just a comment,
Oh, sorry.
I agree with, Mayor, Councilor Raynor, I think that's a good idea. I'm wondering if we should be doing a yearly roll-up of those reports, to ensure that we capture everything through the year, and not just the, quarterly reports, to make sure that, we get a bigger, picture of where those areas are.
That's
Just
what
want
you're
one
able to do.
consolidated, one
Yeah,
that incorporates everything that was in the court.
exactly.
All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Resolution number 11.
Resolution number 11, your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Raynard. The council hereby supports Mount Evergreen Ski Club's request to name the city of Kenora as a sponsor in their application for funds through the Kenora and Lake of the Woods Regional Community Foundation for tiller repairs.
All in favor, council? Motion carried. Resolution number 12.
Resolution number 12, your worship, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Goss, that the following bylaws be now read a first and second time and approved in their present form and presented for third and final reading. Number 127, 2016, confirm the proceedings of council. Number 128, 2016, water and wastewater rate increase. Number 129, 2016, NCIR funding date agreement amendment.
All in favor, council? Motion carried. Okay, no proclamations? Okay, announcements, I'll start with Councilor Richard, anything? Councilor Muscase? Councilor McMillan?
Just a short one. I want to thank council for the opportunity to attend the energy symposium put on by AMO. I think it's the first one they've organized. That was last week, November 3rd and 4th. I'll bring forward a brief report at the December Committee of the Whole. And should they have a follow-up one, which they talked about, I would encourage a member of council who may be interested in this area to attend. They bring in some excellent speakers from outside of government, in the private sector and government, to speak on developments that are taking place universally within Canada and throughout the world. So a valuable conference.
No, I have.
Councilor Goss?
I noticed on my way here, I see the Christmas trees on the way up, and the hydro crews are out there lighting, getting the lights strung out, and Friday night, and we're expecting a little bit of snow, so it might look a little bit like Christmas. Hey, my gardening work is all done, it's ready, it can snow now, it's all done. Everything's put away.
Councilor Raynor?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, look out, there's no Christmas tree, and we're gonna have a lighting ceremony in this.
Is it on Friday?
It's on Friday, and we're gonna, really, are we sure? And, yeah, the Christmas tree's up. Yeah, so, that's interesting. Just to follow up a little bit on Councilor McMillan's, thing there, the energy now and in the future, the conference that we're at. I think one of the things that we really picked up there, and Roy can add to it, is that well, until the US election, we were going into a low carbon world where there is going to be a lot of changes. That was pretty much the message. I think Roy throughout the presentations was basically, whether it's electric vehicles, whether it's there was a lot of discussion on fleets, and something that I think, and Adam's gonna have a report to put forward, and some recommendations for turning your fleets over to natural gas. And I think a lot of the trucking companies that are gonna start to switch over to natural gas, which is a lot cleaner burning. So there's a lot of things there. I would say the only thing that the only presentation that it was good, but at the same time was a little bit. I had some questions for the gentleman, and that was the German experience. because we didn't get the whole story, and then I talked to the gentleman after, and he talked about they have converted, renewables have taken out, I believe it's 30% of their nuclear by converting to solar and wind, and then he started talking about coal after, and they were up at 45% of their electricity is produced by coal. I thought I knew the answer. I asked the gentleman after, and the only unfortunate thing, and I haven't done the survey yet, you got the survey, and I'm gonna do it and speak to that. In the survey was, he was extremely biased on what he was presenting. From my understanding is they had to swing back to coal because the cost got so high they couldn't afford all the wind and solar. In my mind, they should have stayed with, with nuclear. But, you know, everybody gets a fear, and then all of a sudden everybody's changing and going somewhere. So I was a little disappointed in the fact that he was very, very parochial in what his beliefs were, what he was driving. So it didn't give a real true picture, but there's no doubt about it. I mean, you know, Quebec experienced the cap and trade. Cap and trade's coming federally. There's a lot of different things that I think a lot of opportunities for us in the. I'm probably going to get into all the balance report here. Things like your sewage treatment plant, the methane that's produced by sewage treatment plants is pretty substantial. They can produce power, and we could maybe be, you know, energizing some of our buildings over there. From that methane. So there's a lot of this stuff that's it's a lot of it is breaking. It's kind of new, but it's coming, and this is the way we're headed. So, and I guess on the only negative side is Mr. Trump starts firing up all these coal plants, unless it's the clean coal technology or where they're capturing like the one in Saskatchewan. Really not going to have we're not going to have a big impact of cutting our small emission outputs. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I look forward to Adam's gonna have a report for December. Yeah, from that, so, but it was good, yeah. Sure.
I know that we've been, sort of looking at an energy environmental policy, and, I'm hoping one gets developed for the city and soon, because I look at a project like, if the twinning of the arena goes through, those kind of projects should actually go through an environmental energy screening. I think we probably do that through leads and that anyways.
Yeah.
But I think that we should ensure that everything we do in that energy policy, environmental policy, because I think they're one and the same, every project that we do, we talk about fleet, should be viewed through that lens, like we do for safety lenses, and so, I think that would be good if the city had those kind of, policies, that we screen everything we do. And I'm hoping to see something soon, so I'm not sure if we have an update on that. In December?
So just for clarification, the report is on the municipal energy plan coming forward. It's a request for council to support an application for funding. It's received encouragement, I'm gonna say, from the ministry to make an application for the other $20 to help us develop a municipal energy plan. And as part of that, he'll include some information on the recent conference for council's information.
Was it gonna be called like an energy environmental plan, like will it include both? Because I think they're one and the same, really. It would be interesting to get a definition of that.
Okay.
Doesn't the city already have an energy conservation plan?
Well, we are required to meet certain provisions of legislation where we file what our regular consumption is on buildings, and we are working towards energy consumption, but I think this will formalize it more.
So we just keep it updated with, as new rules come into place, we can amend it and have a current document.
I don't know that we have that document that you're looking for.
It's more input, I think, on the things like converting your fleets, stuff like that. Councilman.
I think just basically from a while back, Morton, I think Sharon, you were at the Thunder Bay. No, I don't know who else was. Were you there, Dan? I don't know. And you brought back, we were quite excited about the energy climate plan. And I think that's helped to be a catalyst to get it going. So a solid plan. It'll be a good thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of federal and
Yeah.
provincial initiatives to make that go. I mean, really, the carbon tax that the Liberals are talking about would be, all the money would be collected by the province, spent inside the province on green projects. So it's just advancing the research, advancing the cause. It only makes sense. And we take common sense things like changing our lighting to the LED, and look at the savings. It's surprised us this year what our savings are. It's just another way we can be more efficient and more cost efficient, I guess it is.
Instead of actual spotlights, which are probably LEDs, so stuff like that, we were actually talking about that earlier today, conversion. Yes, we got a lot of opportunities. The other one is just really quickly, the mining. Oh, jeez. We'll leave that alone. The mining summit is at Kenora was, Sudbury was, it was really good, and I'm glad I had a really good chat with Minister Gravel on the plane, because we were on the same plane. And it was interesting there. Again, this was talking a lot about carbon, where the mining industry is going, some of the speakers, extremely good speakers, talking about digital companies by 2020. 75% of all companies will be completely digital. And like some of the stuff, the changes stuff that are coming are pretty interesting. Really good panelists, of course, Chris Hodgson, the president of the Mining Association, and Dominic Drew from Laurentian University. A bunch of them here talking about different things. There was one of the mines is going completely electric. There will be no more gas or diesel vehicles in that mine. Which one was that? I'm trying to remember the mine. Luke Junkus was the guy that made the presentation, but all the way around it there was an investor there from the States who was talking about mining, and actually I had a really good discussion with him about Avalon. And he's quite connected to the whole Avalon project because of the need for lithium. There was presentations there. The requirement for lithium is going to double in like I think it's in the next 5 or 10 years. So there's some great opportunities, and he was quite familiar. Of course, a few jokes there about, because we were just before the election and the wall, and some people weren't sure which side of the wall they were going to be living on after the election. Anyway, pretty interesting. Councillor Wilson.
Economic Development Commission went through and did a lot of sector profiles. So we have done, there's a mining sector profile that's been completed. And I've been asking about, what are we doing to market that, promote it? And I think maybe when they have these mining forums, I think it's time we might maybe start getting some of our booth, or when they have forestry.
Yeah.
I think we should be getting a booth and start promoting the assets that we have in our area that we could harvest or mine to our advantage, because it's not much sense in having these sector profiles. The Northern Policy Institute went through and did a lot of sector profiles for various communities in northwestern Ontario, and so maybe we can utilize some of their material as well.
No, it's a good idea. Even at PDAC, Red Lake's been there for years. They have their own booth, and it's hard to get in there to get booth, but we could even team up, do like a joint venture or something like that, and get that out, so reduce the cost and still get the coverage and still get the stuff out there. So it's a good opportunity.
We have to start promoting our community for the assets that we have.
Yeah,
We just can't depend on the lake. The lake is a great thing, but we have to start promoting the assets that we have, and use our shortcomings to meet economic development.
Okay, the holiday train, did everybody get the announcement that it come through, kind of the holiday train on the 2nd? From 3 o'clock?
I didn't see it.
No, I didn't get anything.
Yeah.
I think I've been taken off the
Did
distribution
you get
list.
it?
I don't know if I got it directly,
No.
I follow the local media and they seem to keep me up to date with what's going on and what's happening, so.
There you go.
Yeah, so the holiday train on the 2nd, of course, and of course the American Marathon on the 25th and 26th.
This weekend?
No,
The Miracle
No,
Marathon?
next weekend,
Next
same
weekend,
time.
Miracle
Yeah,
Marathon.
I got an email from Daryl, and I said I'll be there at the end of it again, so if council wants to be there for the opening there on Friday, then if you're available or whatever. I think most of us always show
Yeah.
up. So I said, I'll rush back Saturday morning there and, try and get back for that, so it's,
Yes, I'll make sure I'm there.
Las Vegas, so.
wow. Well, it could be golfing here.
Yeah.
Your last golf trip didn't go so well. It rained every day.
So, and of course, the tree lighting we already talked about, and the only other thing that Minister Morrow's, visit, and of course, we had enough time after the, announcements at the Discovery Center to go for a ride across a bunch of bridges. And, because actually Minister Morrow has not been on the bridge tour yet. So the more ministers we take across the bridges, Minister of Transportation, of course, what was that, about a month ago or whatever, or Mr. Del Duca, and of course the Premier, and who sent, Councilor Rain a very nice picture of his pontoon boat, or Councilor Rain, the boat. And, there was the OSIF funding, which is climbed substantially. Obviously, because our lobbying was successful, and the fact that we were getting ripped off on the amount, so that's climbed significantly. The funding for Sparrow Park, the funding for NHFC, the funding for the airport, and the funding for the company Take Me to It. Take Me to It.
Oh, that's, Tommy
Pretty
Horton's coming.
interesting.
Yeah.
Could have our own app to take you to it.
Interesting.
So, yes, it was, an excellent, meeting after with Mr. Morrow. We'll keep doing the follow-up with the,
As well, was he impressed with the new work on the Cubaton Bridge?
yeah, we had to wait. I think we were sitting there for a while, like,
Oh, yeah.
so we had a good chat about that.
I'd be interested to know if it came in on budget. Will we have that information soon, Karen?
I will
And then we-
follow up and
Thank
find
you.
out.
They sure got lucky, they didn't have to hoard nothing in with this weather.
Yeah,
And
really.
then we went around and went up Station Hill, the other side, so you can look at, you get that panoramic view of the bridge, and you get a total different, and as we did with the Premier and the boat, wow, it's a little different. It's just a total, you know.
When you drive under that bridge, it really is an amazing structure.
It is.
When you're in your boat and you're riding under it.
Yeah, so,
You climb it.
that often.
We used to play in it when we were kids.
Oh my gosh, didn't do that.
Okay, I think I brought everything else. Okay, resolution number 13.
Your worship, moved by myself, second by Councilor Rusin, that pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended, authorization is hereby given for council to move into a closed session at 12:43 PM to discuss items pertaining to the following: education and training members of council, one item.
All in favor? All in favor? Motion's carried.
Sharon, I had seen it around.
Resolution number 14.
Resolution number 14, moved by myself, second by Mort Goss, that this meeting be now declared closed at 3:52 PM.
All in favor, council? Close. Over. Go home.
I'm just trusting my friend and said 3:52.